Okay, welcome to Water Wonders. This is our fourth installment of the Water Wonders. Today we're going to be doing the sum of the parts activity in a Lego edition. This activity demonstrates how everyone contributes to water pollution and how we can be a part of the solution. My name is Tanya Ketza. I'm with the City and County of Honolulu, the Stormwater Quality Branch. With me is my colleague Kyle Takuda, who's going to be helping with some of the polling questions that we have. Today's activity is a part of the Project WET. We at the City and County of Honolulu Stormwater Quality Branch are facilitators of the Project WET, and they produce this curriculum and activity guide, and this is one of the activities in that curriculum. Their mission is to reach children, parents, educators, and communities of the world with water education. And they really hope to educate, empower, and then get action out of people's really fostering sustainable actions amongst people once they're educated about water issues. So some of the parts is from this curriculum guide. As I mentioned, it's really geared towards grades 4 through 8. That curriculum is very interdisciplinary. So this particular activity touches on language arts, government, and environmental science. So in this activity, you get to inherit a valuable waterfront property, but you find out that the beach is polluted. So the students will demonstrate contributions to pollution in a watershed and the actions that they can take to reduce it. You'll differentiate between point and non-point source pollution, recognize everyone contributes and is responsible for water quality of our oceans, and identify the best management practice or those things that you can do to reduce pollution. So what is point source and non-point source pollution? So point source pollution is pollution that comes in through a particular point. A really good example is sanitary sewer systems. That sanitary sewer gets directed to a wastewater treatment plant, and those treatment plants have an effluent discharge pipe or location, and that is a singular point. Industrial complexes also, they'll have any effluent, any wastewater that they have from their facilities they must treat before they can put that into receiving waters like our ocean. Those are easy to control because you know exactly where they're at. You can put regulations on them, monitor them. Non-point source pollution comes from many different sources, and these, some examples of these are bacteria from your pet waste, trash that's along the street that then washes into our catch basins, which is a part of our stormwater conveyance system. Soil erosion during construction, or even if you're just doing any ground disturbance or leaving parts of your yard unplanted when it rains, that soil will get washed off and go into the waters. And then various chemicals, fertilizers, cleaning fluids, paint, oils, all of those are types of pollution that often come from these non-point sources, from many different sources, basically from our homes. And we have a hard time regulating that. It's just putting a call out that everyone needs to do their share to stop pollution. And we care because pollution hurts. It hurts the creatures that live and use our lands, streams, wetlands, and oceans. And that includes us. It can make our drinking water unsafe. It can harm the fish and seafood we like to eat. It can also make it really unsafe for us to play at our beaches and be in our ocean. So the activity, you get to inherit a piece of waterfront property. And we're doing, again, a Lego edition. So you can get these little squares and hand your participant or student their piece of property with their bit of stream along the side. This activity is actually meant to be used with paper, or even a chalkboard, so more drawing of what you want to build on your property. So you usually give them a piece of paper with a bit of stream drawn on the side. Today we're using Legos. And you allow the participants to have unlimited funds to build whatever they wish or draw whatever they wish onto their piece of property. And you can give them some time to build. I'm going to show you a couple of different ways. You can either give them time, a good half hour to an hour to build, or I'll show you a way we can kind of quickly demonstrate building. So we're going to go into some polling as I show you our setup as well. So what kinds of things do you see in your neighborhood? It really helps to do this prompt with your students and participants to help them start to think more than just maybe their home or what have you. Just really think about what kind of built things do you see in your environment. Okay, so here we have our poll responses for the what do you see in your neighborhood. So we definitely see the single family home, the shopping mall, and a park. So that's what we'll end up building. Okay, so in this version of this activity, we're using Legos. And this is a piece of property that you can give the students or whoever's participating in this with you as what they've inherited, and they get to choose whatever they want to build upon it. You set this up by first kind of putting the pieces together and making a stream that goes out to the ocean. In the classroom version, you give pieces of paper with a stream that would fit together. The students or children don't see how these fit together at first, so you would just have them all piled up and everyone gets their piece of property. And once they've built upon it, then they can come back and try to assemble their stream, finding where it might fit together. And as you can see, I made pieces, larger pieces, fit together so they can try to figure out, that these necessarily don't go, well, those would go together, but like these necessarily wouldn't go together. They can fit this way. But really in the end, as long as you have the stream together, fitting together, going out to the ocean, it's fine. It just makes it a fun little challenge. We've already built some of these properties. You can give the kids a whole class period, which is usually about 40 minutes to work on these. That would be about as much time as they would need to do something fairly extensive, build something pretty nice. They get to do the concept and then do the build. If you only have a short amount of time, which I often only have a period, you can facilitate this by just color coding. So you ask the question, what have you seen on your property? What kinds of things do you see in your neighborhood? They might mention like a shopping mall, and you can maybe color coordinate. The blue means, commercial shopping, something. They might say parks, you can use the green. I'll put that here. And you might put some built structures farther apart that they built at the little park. And I don't know, maybe just a single family home. Most people are gonna kind of come up with that too, right? They definitely see a house, they live in one, that's a part of what they do in a neighborhood. So you can just kind of color coordinate and put it together and help to facilitate that discussion a little bit quicker, rather than them having their own period to just do a build. But of course, letting them build on their own and be creative is fun. So once everyone has their pieces or has put their bits on their property, they assemble it together. Then you lead a discussion on what they developed on their property and what pollutants might come off. And then you can use these, I've color coordinated and picked out these tinier little pieces of Legos. So here for soil, we have little brown pieces. For chemicals, they have little red pieces. Trash, we have some orange and gold pieces. Bacteria, coming from doggy doo or other things like that. Some little green pieces. We lead a discussion. So on a park, you might expect someone coming to visit might leave a little bit of trash. There might be some soil eroding off. and maybe there are some animals nobody's picking up after them. So let's do those 3 little pieces onto there. This we said was a shopping mall. There might be a little bit more trash. They might actually have some chemicals from the parking lot and the cars. And we'll do those 3 little pieces there. An industrial facility. Again, there's probably a bit of trash and maybe a couple of pieces of chemicals, since maybe they weren't storing their things properly. They have the potential for some more significant chemical runoff. An open park, again, maybe a little bit of trash from people visiting, maybe some soil from not having well-planted areas, maybe some chemicals, maybe some fertilizers or over-fertilizing. A home, maybe there's a pet, there's some bacteria from that, they're not picking up properly, maybe they're not disposing of their trash properly, and maybe they also need to do some landscaping to cover some soil and they're getting some erosion, or maybe they did some reconstruction and didn't properly put in erosion control measures. Same for this single family home, maybe they have it very well landscaped, they have a tree, but they're over fertilizing, or they're washing their car or something, they have a bit of trash. Whoops, and I keep doing the green for fertilizer, but red is chemicals, and we'll do the bacteria because they also have animals. All right, so then you would ask the question, you've kind of gone through, oh, these are the kind of pollutants you might think could run off of these properties. And then you have them look at what's on there, and they see there's only 3 little pieces, right, that they have. And that's not much. You wouldn't think much of it. But so the activity is that now they're going to pass this on to their neighbor's property. So it's going to wash off over the stream into their neighbor's property. Now their neighbor's going to take all these pollutants into this property. And as you can see, it quickly can't just do it in one scoop. You know, I have to take a couple of scoops. And then it gets more and more. And you lead discussions about how do you feel about this? Do you feel good as a neighbor passing along all of this muck to your neighbors? And how do you feel as this neighbor downstream that's getting all of these pollutants dumped on their property? It gets harder and harder. You can imagine this trash and debris and things building up in the stream and even clogging the stream and causing flooding. You can see this is becoming quite difficult for me to pass it along. And then ultimately, all of this ends up in the ocean. So this, again, I can't just do it in one scoop. I'm doing several scoops. What started out as this tiny little bit, nobody really thought much of it. We only have 3 little pieces in our hands. Quickly becomes this bigger problem. And we only have 6 parcels here. So you can imagine with a full class of 30 kids, this becomes really big. The usual version of this with the paper, you can also just do it on a whiteboard and section out parts and draw it up there. There's different ways you can kind of represent the properties. But then the pollutants typically are either items from their desks, or we bring items like reusable utensils, reusable straws, bags, things that we normally hand out as promotional items. We'll have the kids pass those along, pencils, things like that. So it becomes this very big amount of stuff. And so we end up, and here we have our ocean, and I would end up, carrying all those things in person in the ocean. And you ask the question, would you want to come and swim in this ocean? And it usually is very impactful for children to realize that these little bits accumulated into this very large amount, that you would not want to go into this ocean. It has a lot of different trash, all these gold pieces and dirt, a lot of chemicals, some bacteria, doo-doo. It's not a place that you would want to go. And that's something that happens every time it rains, when anything that can run off with the water will, and it'll end up in our oceans. what are some of the things that you think you can do to prevent some of the pollution? And we'll go into our polling questions. Could you build something on your property? Maybe make a mandate. Think of some ways you think you can stop. We can work towards stopping this pollution. These are some great ideas. What can you do to prevent some of this pollution? You can pick up trash along the street. Just pick up trash in general, right? You can recycle, put in bioswales and rain gardens. Those are great answers. You could build, anything that will infiltrate rain gardens. You can also build ways to keep things that have gotten into the waste or into your runoff from going down further. So we sometimes put in trash capture devices, either along the street where there's the holes in the street that go into our storm drain system to stop it from going into the pipes, or sometimes into the pipe system. It's called being inline, an inline system. Change this view. And then, or at the end pipe. So you can kind of put different screening mechanisms along there. We also have things called separators. So those are kind of big vaults that are underground that can separate out chemicals or larger debris from the water. So those are kind of built things that you can do. Silt fences during construction, great. And again, those rain gardens or permeable pavers on properties as well. Anything to let it infiltrate will be very helpful. So our last question is more to dig into more those behavioral things. So these are really what students and most participants can really identify with, because there's the easy things that you can do every day to help prevent pollution. So on the picture and the poll, go ahead and tap the different things that you see. Like, will you not leave your pet waste for someone else to pick up? Maybe not washing off your driveway so the debris goes right in, or not sweeping things into the catch basin, not using horrible chemicals while you're taking care of your lawn, fixing your cars so that they don't leak or smog, not overwatering so that the water is washing off your property, making sure you put your trash away properly so it doesn't just spill out and get everywhere. Trying not to wash your car where the water will just run off. If you can wash it where it will run into a lawn area, that would be better. And best to just go to a car wash facility, because they really clean the water out well and recycle the water, so it's a much better choice. So these are all really simple things that if everyone collectively does it together, can make a big difference. So I'll go back to our shared screen with the wrap up our discussion for today. So again, it's just like each one of us can be, with these small little things, can be a part of a really big problem, as we demonstrated in this activity. It's also, if each one of us kept one of those little pieces of pollutants from coming off of our property, it can make a big impact, because collectively, all together, that's a lot more that's not making its way. So really keep that in mind on your day-to-day, and know that even though it seems like a very small act, together you can make a big difference. And important for us all to share that message. And that's our motto, is to be an everyday clean water hero, because it's these little actions that collectively will help to really make a difference and keep our water clean for years to come. Thank you for joining us. That concludes our presentation. In the chat box, I did put a URL for copies of this presentation. You can also email me at cleanwater@honolulu.gov, that's here, and ask for that. I'm happy to give that. This presentation is being recorded and it will be on our YouTube channel, the name of which is Clean Water Honolulu. The link to that YouTube channel is also on our website, www.cleanwaterhonolulu.com. The cleanwaterhonolulu.com also has a myriad of other resources, so please check it out. A lot of great resources for educators, more information about the Project WET program as well. So please check it out. And again, if any questions, please reach out to me. Thank you, Kyle, for your help today. And thank you everyone for being here. Aloha.